Tomb Raider 2013, despite being 7 years old, is a game that holds up over all these years and still rivals games coming out now. And as Lara Croft, you'll be exploring the island of Yamata as you try to find a way off the island with an engaging story, fun puzzles, combat that is fun to use, with a little bit of raiding tombs. Okay, I know I'm a little late to the party with this game, but since it was free on Steam a couple weeks ago, which I'm pretty sure it's not anymore, but it doesn't hurt to check, I decided to grab this game and fully indulge in it, as I haven't played this game since it came out back in 2013, and when it did come out I was like 11 or 12 and did not understand any of it. But with this review, there will be major spoilers, so that's one of your last warnings. If you have not played the game, I recommend you play it, come back here and watch the video. And if you're looking to play the game and want a small review on it that doesn't have any spoilers, you can watch my Is It Worth It of this game in the top right hand corner of your screen right now. But other from that, I will be going deep into this game with a final verdict on it in the end. And basically, let's just get straight into this. Part 1, Story. So the story in this game starts off with you getting stranded on the island of Yamata by your ship being struck by this storm, and that storm will play a pretty big role later in the story, so keep that in mind. But the first 60 minutes or so of this game is just basically a well-scripted set of events that involve the basics of the game and some good character development, so it's pretty forgivable. But after the 60-minute mark, you're just kind of left off to explore and just progress the story at your own pace. But the story basically revolves around the locals that are known as the Brotherhood of Solari, which I believe that's how you say it, but basically, they believe that they are trapped on the island. If they sacrifice a successor to the Sun Queen, also known as Himiko, that they will be granted their freedom. And you'll learn more about the Sun Queen and the Brotherhood throughout the story, but other from that, basically how they do this is that they have this ritual where they put someone up and they light them on fire. If the fire's not put out, then they're not the right one. If the fire is put out, then it's the right one. But throughout the game, Lara slowly discovers more about the islands and regroups with her crew progressively, which sadly isn't developed as much as everyone else, which I don't like, because almost all of them are forgettable besides Jonah and Roth. And Jonah just because he's in every other game after this, and Roth because it's Roth, he's pretty cool. But yeah, almost all of them die in forgettable moments. There's this one moment that I really like that shows the vulnerability of Lara, so they did one death scene really well, but other from that, it's just a forgettable crew. But while exploring the island, you'll find more lore on the Sun Queen and her purpose on the island, and clues to show the real purpose of why you can't leave the island. So for example, you'll climb this radio tower pretty early on, and basically you call for help, to which a plane comes to rescue you almost immediately, which I find weird, but comes to rescue you, and it gets hit by the storm again, and you can hear a soft voice in Japanese as no one leaves the island. So fun fact there, but it's like puzzle pieces. It's starting to make sense the more you put them together. But yeah, after this, Lara figures out the problem and why she can't leave, so she knows the problem. Now she just has to worry about the locals, who really aren't like a big deal to the story. They're just kind of in the way. I mean, they play a pretty important role, but they're mainly in the way, and without them you'd be fine. But basically, these guys are who you're fighting throughout the entire game, and basically they capture Lara's college friend, who is Sam, who they believe is the rightful successor to the Sun Queen, and they do the ritual. They do all the fire stuff, and a gush of wind puts out the fire, showing that she is the rightful successor. Why she is, I'm not sure. They didn't go into that. Either the Sun Queen was just desperate at that point, or it was just meant to be. I'm not really sure. Wish they went a little more into that. But otherwise, after that, Matthias, the leader of the Brotherhood, takes Sam, and now as Lara, you're off to rescue her after being almost captured again, because in the beginning of the story you were captured by them, but you didn't really know who they were. But you're captured again, and during your escape, you meet up with the rest of your crew, to which you free them and tell them to just leave and go save Sam. So it's kind of like a walk-off, so you're left on your own. And this is where you basically just get separated, and you just hope everyone else makes it out alive. So yeah, but you see, okay, so this dude named Whitman, alright, he's like, not the leader of the group, he's just kind of there, but he's basically a reality TV star who is just not like there throughout the entire game. He's in there at the beginning and just kind of like dips, but basically he makes his return next to Matthias, just sitting right by him, giving the hint saying like maybe he's working with them, and then he just kind of dips again. So keep that in mind. This dude is very sketchy at this point, but needless to say, after this you do some platforming, which I really like, to where you get into this helicopter who the captain's trying to leave the island, but you know why you can't leave and you're trying to tell them, and basically the storm hits you down and you crash, and this is where that really nice death scene plays, and I'll just show it to you because I really like it.
It's them. I can't do this without you.
I'm sorry, Lara. I'm sorry. You can do this. You're a Croft.
After this, Rise, who's that one person that's not vibing out with anyone at all, finds a ship to leave the island, and Laura explains why they can't and how they have to do these extra steps to leave. So later, you get all these parts to the ship and accuse Whitman, who is this Whitman. You accuse him of working with the Brotherhood, to which he gives you one of the shittiest lies I've ever heard. But basically after this, he basically incriminates himself, but no one picks up on it besides Laura, because I guess everyone's just a little dumb or something. I'm not sure, it's pretty simple to tell. But after this, Laura finds a samurai that killed himself and finds a letter stuck in his sword, or I forget, pretty sure there's a word for that, but basically a sword, the tip of it, there's some letter in it, and she reads it. It's basically saying why you can't escape in the storm and how to stop it. So Laura then goes back to the crew to find out Whitman stole Sam to bring her to the Brotherhood to sacrifice her to complete the ritual, and I don't know how you let that happen, but yeah. But once again, you're off to re-rescue Sam, and this is where Whitman encounters the samurais for like his first time, and where you see the samurais for the first time. And needless to say, he gets absolutely slaughtered, which is almost a relief because he probably caused as much trouble as the Brotherhood, but you still have to rescue Sam nonetheless. So throughout this, you fight your way through the samurais that are definitely way harder than the normal people, but still not impossible. Then once you make it through to where you get to the end, you see Matthias standing there starting the ritual, and you have to make one last stand to save the day, basically just be the hero and all of it. And you get a good amount of fan service here for all the OG fans, and that's something I like. But basically, you stop it, you kill the soul trapped in the decaying body, and you stop the storms. Bam, you save Sam again, and that's it. You just kind of leave the island, never speak of it again, and the game just kind of ends. So it's really just like a game on how to get out of the island. So it's a pretty simple story, and I find it really enjoyable. And personally, I find it more enjoyable because I like Japanese stories like this. It's just really interesting to me. Call me a nerd, don't care, but I just like it. But even if you aren't a weird freak like me, you might still find something enjoyable about the story, because I feel like anyone can find something enjoyable. But while I enjoyed the story, there's still a lot more to this game. But yeah, basically the story is pretty simple. It's really nice, I like it. And other from that, we'll get into the next part. Part 2, gameplay. So, the gameplay in this game is something they do extremely well. This ranges from the extremely fun platforming, which isn't clunky at all and doesn't piss you off. Assassin's Creed, what? Platforming in this game, by the way, is something that I feel most people will enjoy doing and just find themselves going out of their way to do it some more because it's just fun. And with platforming, there's even more stuff added to it, like making makeshift zip lines to go from one place to another. But overall, platforming in this game is just something that I really enjoy using. It's some of the best I've ever used in any game, so whoever made the system for it, good job, it's amazing. Then combat in this game is on the same level as platforming. It's really fun. I really enjoy the combat in this game. It's just fun to use and isn't overused to the part where it gets old and boring. It's just the right amount, which is something that I really like how they did with spreading it out. But the only thing I really don't like about the combat is the animations, but I can let that slide. So overall, the gameplay in this action adventure survival game is some of the best that I've used, and that's coming from a 7-year-old game too. But other from that, the leveling system in this game is something I really enjoy too, which it's weird since you can explore to find spare parts to upgrade weapons, and throughout you can slowly upgrade every weapon you get to a better weapon, which is like you go from a trench gun to like an AK. It's weird how it works, but works. Then you can also gain XP, which can garner you skills, and that just helps you out quite a lot. You use almost all of them that you get, but it's weird how it works because you have to go to a campfire, which they're spread out throughout the entire game, and that also saves the game. But you go to the campfire, it has this awful UI, and that's how you do it. And I find it a little weird how they do it, but I also find it really enjoyable. It's kind of like Dark Souls or like Fallen Order, where you have to find a specific place to do it. So I really enjoy that. It just adds to the more survival kind of vibe to it. So the upgrading and leveling in this game is something that they also did really well, and it's just overall fun. But other from that, the combat and the platforming and the leveling and all of the gameplay, it's just amazing. You can just see on screen how fun it is, but it's something I feel like you'd probably enjoy a lot. But other from that, on to the next part. Part 3, visuals. Now, I'm not an artist or anything, but I can appreciate the beauty in this game. Even with the limited graphics, which still aren't bad for 2013, this game does have visuals that games of 2020 can't even achieve, which is crazy to me. And I'll throw up some screenshots and you can just see how stunning the visuals are. And personally, I think almost every location you visit on the island has amazing visuals, which just adds to the diverse nature of this game. So visuals were done very well, and good job on the people that did them. Some games even further into this timeline of games still don't even add up to it, so I feel like Tomb Raider 2013 definitely did visuals really well. Part 4, graphics. Alright, I know you may consider this to be part 3, but visuals and graphics are two different things. And other from that, graphics in this game are not the greatest and definitely don't hold up too well to 2020, but they aren't awful and they don't make the game uninteresting. And I could forgive bad graphics. I'm just saying that the graphics aren't great in this game. They're really just low quality, which again I could forgive because 2013, I don't really care. But somehow the graphics in this game still really help with the locations and environments. So for example, if you're in the forest, the fog looks amazing and isn't held back by any of the graphics. And it's weird because I think the graphics look good mostly because you aren't up close to them, so you don't even notice them in full detail, so they look way better than they actually are. But still, with these graphics comes the really interesting details that they put into it. And it's weird because some small amounts of details that they put throughout this game is just crazy, but with the graphics there's all kinds of small details in it that if you get up to you can notice, and if you look at it far away it just adds to the realistic kind of vibe to it. And it's crazy because this game goes really in depth with small amounts of details. One great example is Laura's clothes. So in the beginning you get impaled by this metal rod, which I'm not going to show because it can make anyone cringe in pain at it, but just kind of forgetting that it would kill you IRL. Basically, throughout the entire game, that wound that she got is always there, and her clothes start to slowly deteriorate and start to like tear as you progress in the game, which is a really small detail that I like. But other from the small details they put, the graphics in this game do a really good job and just make it that much more realistic, and I can forgive it for not being that quality of it. And again, you're not up close staring at them in your face all the time, so they look pretty nice and you can see it throughout the gameplay. So good job on the limited hardware you had. I really liked how they did that, and it's just an amazing job they did with all that. So the team that did it, I don't even know if you're still a team because it's that old, but if you are, you best be getting a raise for that one. But other from that, on to part 5. Part 5, lore. Okay, so the lore in this game is something that I love, but hate how they actually do it. So in this game, the way they tell the backstory of everything is through text, which is annoying because no one is going to sit there and listen to the lore besides the really dedicated. And as you can probably imagine, I sat there and listened to the lore. But needless to say, there's a lot of stuff in this lore that should have been in the game, and this ranges from the backstory of Roth and his importance to Laura to the history of the island. But One thing that I do like that they do very well is the artifacts, and throughout the island you can find these artifacts that tell stories of people that have been to the island, from traders to Japanese military projects from World War II to US Marines. But I do like how they did these artifacts. It's just something, it's a small touch that they did, and it's just fun looking at these artifacts, but you kind of have to be a nerd to actually enjoy it, so I can understand why some people might not like that. But overall, the lore in this game is amazing and something that I would have liked to see actually in the game and a little more in depth with the actual game and not just throughout the island that you have to read. So I like it, but I just don't like how they did it. But other from that, we'll get into the next part. Part 6, multiplayer. And yes, you read that right, there is a multiplayer in this game. And surprisingly, I actually found the game after like 10 minutes of searching, but to put it short, the multiplayer in this game sucks. This game is definitely not meant for multiplayer in any way and is just overall boring. The only thing I like about this multiplayer is the small platforming, but other from that, the only other thing that I kind of like is that everyone sucks, so it just kind of wreaked havoc over everyone. But to keep it short, multiplayer sucks. So other from that, we'll get straight into the next part. Part 7, Verdict. Alright, so we've made it to the last part of this video, and overall this game is extremely visually pleasing with an amazing combat system and platforming system, and a great story to go along with it. While I might be a little biased on the story as I enjoy stories over this topic, and it reminds me of the podcast I'm listening to, which is Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, which is amazing by the way, it tells the stories that you won't find in the history books, but still, I might be a little biased to the story, but yeah, I feel like anyone can find something interesting from the story. I think the game did an excellent job on letting people have fun with it and learn something while doing it, which is something you don't really see in games nowadays, but with all this stuff comes the amazing gameplay and visuals with it, which again, very well done on them. It's just something that I was not expecting, but yeah. And while I do like some things, a lot of things actually, it does have some things I don't like, ranging from the god-awful multiplayer or the horrific UI that they use. You know, something else is that exploring is really limited to the area that you're in, and you can't really go any further without progressing the story, which is kind of annoying to me, but they kind of fix that in later games. But yeah, I also don't like how the story is really like small, since I beat in this game with 8 hours, with the majority of that being on exploring, so it's a really short game. But overall, I can forgive all those negatives that I don't like, and I just really like it. And you know, I still kind of find it funny, since back when I got this game, it was on Redbox. I know, I remember those, and it was like a weekend that I had it, and I remember playing the game, and when I was playing it now, it's crazy how much stuff I actually remember. So this is something you'll definitely remember, because judging from past 12-year-old me that didn't know anything about history or any of that, and I still remember stuff from the game, this is definitely something that you can actually find enjoyable and will remember. So it's just really good for learning, I guess, which is weird because games aren't really meant for that, but it does a pretty good job on it. And you know, without going any further into it, let's just get straight to it. I feel like this game is something I feel everyone can take, even if they don't like history or geography, and especially if you like geography or history, you should definitely play it. But overall, I would give this game a 9.6 out of 10, which is really high. So the only thing holding game this back is the short amount of game time and the very limited exploring you have to do, but I absolutely love this game. I'll probably find myself coming back to it later. So overall, it's an amazing game. If you have not played it, it's worth it, even if it's like $20. You know, you have nothing better to do during quarantine. So yeah, great game. Other from that, hope you enjoyed. Until next time, see ya.